was a side that I never knew. I only knew Shane, or like I say, over the last 6 months, but there were so many special things that he did. And there's one gentleman that I feel owes his life, because there were so many times that Shane picked him up and made sure he got to the shelter. Some of the times, Shane wouldn't even be allowed in the shelter, but he'd make sure this gentleman got into the shelter and made sure that he would be able to wake up in the morning. That's really important. That was a side of Shane that a lot of people knew, and a lot of people didn't know. But he had a big heart. He always would get coffee for people, and he always was good with the smokes. He would give his smokes out, but he'd expect some back in return at some point in time. But he did. He had a very, very big heart, from what I hear. As Lisa's nodding, she knows, right, Lisa? So today, I just want to thank everybody for coming. I can tell you right now, from Melanie, his sister, she just can't believe the feedback that she's getting. Lisa's been on the phone talking to her, what she's read. She couldn't believe the article in the newspaper. She's amazed that her brother is being remembered this way. And please excuse me, because when it comes around death, I have a hard time. But she said what she wants to see is Shane's life to be remembered, to help other people. So as the people have donated their time and their money and their effort of giving, she asked that the funds be used to help somebody else with addictions. Because she said she knows that Shane would think that way. Because I was laughing actually last night with somebody, because we were talking about detox and we were talking about other stuff, and I said Shane would be like the caged cat, wild cat, if you tried to get him in detox. But it's not like he didn't want to see other people succeed. He wanted to see people succeed. So that's the side that we need to remember. We need to think of it that way, and that's what Melanie would like to see. She'd like to see that happen. She'd like to see his name live on in the good side of things and helping other people. So I promised her today that I would tell everybody from her heart. She thanks everybody very much for coming, and thanks everybody for all of the stuff that they've done over the last few days. And with that all being said, one of the gentlemen in the shelter right now, he asked if he could come up, and Steve's going to come up and say a little prayer on behalf of the guys at the shelter.
Hello, my name is Steve. I've only known Shane for a couple of months now, since I ended up at the shelter myself. I am an addict. I know about addiction. I met Shane 3 times other than that in NA. He came in and got his white key tag, which is step 1. He came back, we told him, come back sober. He'd come back sober twice after that. I'd just like to have a moment of silence for Shane and for any other addict that still suffers, and followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shelley and Steve. Well, this afternoon is an afternoon of remembrance. An afternoon where we take a few moments to remember a friend who passed away from this life to the next. A time where we remember who Shane was. His smile, his talents, and all of the things that he enjoyed. We recognize that Shane had his struggles, but as do we all. There was another side of Shane. Shane was generous, always willing to help his buddies when he could with a little extra change, a cigarette, or a listening ear. In fact, just 3 weeks ago, Shane was treated to breakfast at the market by a childhood friend. After they had their meals, they had 2 cinnamon buns left over. His friend said, "You better take these with you." And Shane's very natural response was to say, "Oh yes, I have some friends who would really like these." He was generous, and he'd take care of his friends. Shane, he also loved to chat. I've heard stories of Shane shooting the breeze over apple juice and crackers as a young boy, and I know that that love of shooting the breeze continued into his adult life, because if you had 5 minutes, he'd fill it with a story. He loved to spend time with his friends. Shane was also a very intelligent man, with an ability to use his fingers and his mind to quickly fix up a computer, or as Shelley said, a TV. This isn't a gift that all of us possess, but it's one that Shane had, and one that he used to bless others and at times to provide for himself. This afternoon is a time for us to look back with fondness on the times that we've spent together and the love that we've shared. Although I may not have known Shane as well as many of you, I do know that each of us was created special and unique by God, including Shane Thomas Roach. Every one of us is loved unconditionally by God. He created us to love us and for us to love him. The Bible tells us in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." He waits with open arms for us to turn to him, to receive his forgiveness, and the hope of spending an eternity with him. Today is an opportunity for us to remember that everyone we meet is created and loved by that same God. Each of us, regardless of how much money we have in the bank, how much head knowledge we have, or the way we look, we are all seen as equals in the eyes of the one who made us. Today, I want us to remember Shane as the gift that he was, and to challenge us to look at everyone we meet in that same light. We need to follow the example of Jesus, not just to stay in our comfortable homes or even our churches, but to go out and to share the love of Jesus with everyone we meet. Jesus spent his life extending a hand to those who had fallen down, picking them up, treating their cuts and their scrapes, wiping away their tears, all the while offering them love and hope. You and I, we've been asked to do the same. Shane will be missed by many here today, but our prayer is that this gathering has allowed us as a community to grieve together. It's important for us to stick together in the coming days, weeks, and months. We need to continue to remember. We need to continue to share those stories. And may Shane's life remind us of our continued need to reach out with that unconditional love of God. I'm now going to ask